I'm James Demer, the audio nomad, and we're here in Fiji on the set of the TV show Survivor. We're going to interview Glenn Pagari, who is the senior reality mixer, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how he uses headphones on the job and how he uses headphones in his life when he's not working. So Glenn, what do you actually do as a reality audio mixer on Survivor?
One of the things that's truly unique about the show Survivor, that's different than any other show that I've worked on or that I'm even aware of existing, is the fact that we rely on the boom so much. So in reality, we're not miking the contestants. The boom is there, so we got to get in there. We have to anticipate. We have to anticipate shadows, where they're going to be, the movements, the blocking, and it's a real dance. It's nothing you can really practice or script. And then also unique to the show is that the producers are listening on IFBs, which is a feed directly of your boom track or my boom track, and that's how they're following the story. So we're truly the sharp end of the spear out there, capturing the dialogue of the contestants' existence out there, and it's really up to us. There's no, and you get to make your own decisions about it. Of this is a difficult scene to cover. Well, I'm going to choose to cover it this way. So you're constantly thinking, you're constantly reacting and anticipating, and there's just no way to get bored with that game, right? It's a real treat.
What's your first memory of putting on a pair of headphones, and what was that experience like as far as you can remember?
I'm not sure I could honestly tell you the first time, as a child putting on headphones. I did as a child of the 70s and 80s, saving up for the first Sony Walkman when they came out. That was a big deal to me, of course. But I do remember distinctly professionally the first time someone put a nagra around my neck, I put on headphones and I picked up a boom, and I was absolutely amazed by the precision of where that microphone was, what I could record. Yeah. And that sensation has stayed with me. That was the chef's microphone. I remember that vividly. And then I was hooked. I was like, this is a fun game. This is, do this and get that sound right and be able to isolate someone speaking and not hear the background noise I wanted to get rid of. Just that excited me. And I really never looked back. And this was probably 1992.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, what's a nagra?
Oh yeah, sorry. A nagra was sort of the ubiquitous. That was one of the first location sound recorders. That's 1/4-inch tape. So you had to physically spool that on there. You had to. I don't miss those days of having to do a rushed change. You had about 25 minutes on a load, depending on the size of reel you were using, and you had to sort of look and know by okay, that's probably 4 minutes of tape left. You had to decide when am I going to change. So that certainly dates myself, but those that remember that, I'm sure don't miss that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, file-based recording with pre-record buffers and whatnot, it is just such a different game. It couldn't be more different.
So much easier.
It couldn't be more different.
Yeah, that's true. And you just had 2 tracks, so you truly were mixing.
Not even 2 tracks, actually. That machine, I had 2 inputs, but only 1 track. So they were being summed down.
Wow.
So you didn't have, again, you had 1 chance to get it right, and that was, your mix was basically the mics you had out there, the way those were feathered and deployed, and where your gain structure was, and that was it. It printed the tape, and hopefully that was good enough for someone to ask you to do it again. Yeah.
Now, I know that you're a HiFi guy.
Very much, yeah.
Do you listen to headphones at home? What's your setup at home?
I do listen to headphones. Comparatively, I sort of came back to the HiFi headphone game a little bit later, and that for me really came out of traveling. I've got my setup at home that I've taken much time to get right, setting up the room, and realizing you really can't duplicate that. There's nothing I can buy off the shelf that I can bring into a hotel room that's going to be even close to the experience that I can have at home. So I found myself just not bothering, but then realizing, wait, I can get headphones. I think I can do that, because one of the beauties of headphones is all the room problems, all your room acoustics go away, right? I'm just listening to the music. So to be able to come back and focus on headphones that way, I did get back into the headphone game there and exploring, what do I prefer, closed backs versus open backs? Do I like planars? Do I like dynamics? And what I did find, again, after all these years of building a system at home and choosing the DAC that I liked versus the amplification versus a lot of that stuff didn't translate into headphones the way it did speakers. So if I've done an extensive A/B test between 2 DACs, let's say, and pretty solid on my choice. But then in headphones, different game. I wasn't so set on one versus the other.
Totally.
So it's I think the lesson there for me is that there's always something to learn in this game, and if just keep an open mind. I spend a lot of time, even by myself, setting up my own ABX testing, that if I can do that easily and set it up so that I truly don't know which is A or B, I'm not doing it to trick myself, or if you do it with friends, it's not to stump each other, but to really learn to say, I'm trying to discern the difference between A and B and which is X. And I found myself learning things that I really were unexpected.
Yeah, that's fun. Do you think that your profession as an audio mixer has changed the way you critically listen to music when you're on your own, either offset or at home?
Music, I would say probably not, but certainly watching films and television, yes. And usually, I guess what's often, if something doesn't sound good, that's a problem. That'll rip me out of the story, for example. And occasionally the opposite of that, where if I'm watching a scene that does sound really good, I'm like, well, how did they do this? You know? Some of the first stuff watching, if anyone remembers the first season, particularly of House of Cards, how good that show sounded. And then that made me go research, like, who did this? And that was the first thing that I was aware of that heavy use of painting out the boom. So, you know, the boom, a boom microphone was right there where it needed to be, which to my ears always sounds the best. And they're not chased out by a wide shot. They're leave it in, we'll paint it out.
I had no idea they did that. Interesting.
And it was, I didn't know that, and then watched it knowing that. I was like, why does this show sound so good? And then I had to go back and found that out. And
Can you just tell our audience what that means to paint out a boom?
Oh, geez, yeah, sure. So that would be, if there was a microphone in this shot right now above our heads,
which there is,
of course. But someone might say, we got to frame that out. You got to pull 3 feet, but have the opposite and say, put that mic exactly where you want it and need it to be. Well, we can paint it out. So the easiest thing is just a static shot of the empty background, and then you overlay that, and the boom's gone. So and post has really sophisticated tools now to paint those things out, even if there's motion happening and all sorts of things.
So post production, it's almost like a Photoshop.
Exactly.
But it's in video.
But in motion.
Where they're just making it disappear.
Exactly.
So that boom is exactly where it needs to be.
Precisely.
That's fascinating. Wow. And so you just taught me something. I had no idea they did that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was. That was certainly a difference in technique of just how a production is done.
Amazing.
And if if a show chooses to go that route, that's a show I want to be on, because that's really focused on sound. It's not picture being king, which is sadly so often the case. Everyone. Because I think if you look at the average set of all the people there, most of them. They're there for something to do with picture, whether it's wardrobe or background or lighting. That's all visual, and I think everyone has at least a basic vocabulary of visual stuff. Why isn't this from left to right? How about purple instead of blue? Everyone has that, but nuances of sound, not so much. I think it's all in there. We just don't have a language for it. It's not something that we talk about, openly in society as much.
I think you're right. I think most people don't recognize sound unless it's bad.
Correct.
Unless you're a sound professional. Right, or missing.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Yeah, that was always a fun thing with ways. Just they'll sit there and look and say, I have a million opinions on it. Make it a different color shirt. Change this. Sounds good. Keep doing what you're doing. Like there's really no vocabulary to it. And sometimes I like that, but then also no one really appreciates what it is you're doing. If you make it look easy, that's great. That's what we're trying to do. But they don't realize how much work is really going on to make that look easy.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Last question. Given the choice, and I know you've got a sweet hi-fi setup at home, rank in order. If you're just purely enjoying either music or your home theater to watch movies, your home system, desktop headphone, or in-ear monitors on the go?
Wow. Yeah. So definitely my first preference would be a home system, meaning speakers in the room. And I think that's critical of really taking the time to get your speakers right, get that placement right. I have a small home, so really just those speakers anywhere in the house, that's a better sound than if I had a system in the kitchen, for example, and the bedroom and the office. Playing the living room into the next room still sounds better to me, because I've really taken the time to get that system right. And when I travel, again, that's where the headphones come in, is I can pack those. It's not very social, of course, but to be in my room somewhere, if I need that recharge of music, I want to connect with music, the headphones come out.
And then IEMs, sounds like.
IEMs, again, there's times I need them for work, and they can help me to focus on sound for my job. But to me, the in-ears, I think there's so much information. As sound is hitting your ears, it's hitting the outside of your ears. All this funny shape that we have with the skin hanging off is a part of of how we hear sound and our brain interprets it. And for me, in-ears, you're bypassing all of that. So I think there's so much about the experience of hearing sound in a space that is lost for me with IEMs. I can still hear something critically and detailed, but I'm not going to enjoy that experience as much because I feel like I'm only getting part of the story.
It's a way more intimate experience.
Yeah, it's quite different.
Yeah.
And as a musician, when I used to play, that was long before in-ears were the norm on a stage. It was just you stood closer to the wedge or asked for more. So it was just never an experience I had ever gotten used to. Whereas headphones, for work, I always had to have those on, so there was always a reason to understand headphones. And IEMs just I never had that, and I mean, we'll see. It's something that, as I said, with headphones in general, if I start to find a reason to like them, it's I'm willing to learn. It's
okay. All right, I'm going to make it my mission to find you a spacious, open, well-staged pair of IEMs to try.
I would welcome the surprise of being impressed with something like that. I really would.
We're going to see what we can do.
Okay.
Glenn, thanks for taking the time to tell us a little bit about your amazing career as a location audio mixer, especially on Survivor, and hope to do this again with you sometime soon.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's great.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks, James.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'd like to thank our sponsor, Linsol, who sells amazing personal audio products. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.